So this morning we're going to be looking at standard RL 8.6, which is analyze how differences in the points of view of the characters and the audience or reader creates effects such as suspense or humor. So basically looking at point of view. So our steps for determining point of view, the first step is just define point of view. So there are two different definitions of points of view, point of view. The first has to do with what person a text is written in, like is it written in first person, second person, or third person. The other definition of point of view simply means the opinion or feelings of the main characters involved in a situation. If a question asks you about a text's point of view, the question is asking about the second definition, meaning it's asking what are the opinions or feelings of the characters involved in a situation. The opinions or feelings of characters, however, is certainly related to the first definition of point of view we looked at because, for example, we know that if a text is written in first person, meaning it uses I, that we're mostly going to be given insights into how only the narrator feels. So anything with an I, we already know the point of view is only going to be mostly from that one person's perspective. If a text is written in third person and it uses proper names like Khalil and Yasmir or plural pronouns like they, we can tell that we're possibly going to be given insights into the feelings and opinions or the points of view of multiple characters. So our second step is determine who is speaking and how they feel by paying close attention to dialogue and descriptive language. Well, we're going to tell what the point of view is by just looking at is there dialogue, is there descriptive language, what keywords let us know, how does the character feel about what's going on. It can also help to determine what part of a narrative structure you're looking at. Are you looking at something that establishes the setting, characters, conflict, resolution? If you can tell, for example, that you're being asked to analyze the resolution, it's likely but not certain that characters are going to have positive points of view because their conflict has been resolved. So our third step is to determine how the point of view affects the overall tone of the story. So the tone is the attitude the writer has toward their topic. It's sometimes confused with mood. Mood is the feeling readers get from a text setting. So since the tone is the attitude an author has towards their topic, it really isn't all that different from the author's point of view. So we can think of point of view, if this helps, as being either negative, positive, or neutral, and tone as being more specific. Like, for example, if the characters of a text have a negative point of view about the conflict, we can analyze their circumstances more closely to come up with a good descriptive word to take account of the author's overall tone. For example, if our main characters are being chased by a monster and they say, "This is awful, we're trapped, there is no escape," we could say that their point of view of the situation is negative and the tone is one of hopelessness. Okay, so for our model, we're going to look at Elm by Sylvia Plath. For Ruth Fainlight. "I know the bottom," she says. "I know it with my great tap root. It is what you fear. I do not fear it. I have been there. Is it the sea you hear in me, its dissatisfactions? Or the voice of nothing that was your madness? Love is a shadow. How you lie and cry after it? Listen, these are its hoofs. It has gone off like a horse. All night I shall gallop thus impetuously, till your head is a stone, your pillow a little tuft, echoing, echoing. Or shall I bring you the sound of poisons? This is rain now, the big hush, and this is the fruit of it, tin white like arsenic. I have suffered the atrocity of sunsets, scorched to the root. My red filaments burn and stand, a hand of wires. Now I break up in pieces that fly about like clubs. A wind of such violence will tolerate no bystanding. I must shriek. The moon also is merciless. She would drag me cruelly, being barren. Her radiance scathes me. Or perhaps I have caught her. I let her go. I let her go. Diminished and flat, as after radical surgery. How your bad dreams possess and endow me. I am inhabited by a cry. Nightly it flaps out, looking with its hooks for something to love. I am terrified by this dark thing that sleeps in me. All day I feel its soft, feathery turnings, its malignity. Clouds pass and dissipate. Are those the faces of love, those pale irreversibles? Is it for such I agitate my heart? I am incapable of more knowledge. What is this? This face, so murderous in its strangle of branches, its snaky acids hiss, it petrifies the will. These are the isolate, slow faults that kill, that kill, that kill. So I did my best to channel my inner Plath. If you ever have the opportunity to hear her read, she's a haunting reader. Nobody more haunting than her, maybe other than William S. Burroughs. So let's try to break this poem down in regards to point of view. So the first thing I noticed, there's an I. So it is a first-person point of view from that perspective. But we know that if we're being asked about the point of view, we're being asked, how does the main character or characters, how do they feel about their circumstances? So the first thing I notice is that it's called elm, which is a kind of tree. And even from the first line, it says, I know the bottom, she says. I know it with my great tap root. So who is the I, the speaker here? Well, if the speaker knows it through their tap root, through a root, and the title of the poem is Elm, at this point I can make the inference, well, the speaker of the poem is the elm. It is the tree. So it's from the perspective of the tree that we hear. So what is the tree's point of view? There's a couple of different points of view that the tree has. So let's just pretend, for example, that we were asked, what is the tree's, the speaker's point of view, the tree's point of view in the first section. So let's figure out what the tree feels or thinks based upon the descriptive words that were given in the beginning. And then we'll look at the end to see kind of how the point of view shifts. So here it says, I know the bottom, she says. I know it with my great tap root. It is what you fear. I do not fear it. I have been there. Is it the sea you hear in me, its dissatisfactions, or the voice of nothing that was your madness? Love is a shadow. How you lie and cry after it. Listen. These are its hoofs. It has gone off like a horse. So based on these descriptive words, I can tell that the tone is I would say, if I had to pick between positive, negative, and neutral, I would say that the tree feels positive. I know the bottom. I know it with my tap root. And we get this imagery of the tree kind of like knowing the depths of the earth. It's what you fear. So the you here is presumably, the person listening to the poem, kind of like any human being, is kind of who the tree is speaking to. And the tree says, I know you're scared of the earth, but I'm not scared of it. I know the bottom. I know it with my tap root. I don't fear it. Is it the sea you hear in me? And here we have this imagery of, the roots of the tree connect to the water that's in the earth. And as you guys know, I'm sure, all the water on the planet Earth is all the water that's ever been on planet Earth. It constantly is being recycled. It becomes rain, and then the rain, comes down and becomes rivers and becomes the sea, and that evaporates into a cloud that then again becomes rain. And constantly there's invisible currents of water that are moving both above our heads and under our feet all the time. So the tree says, Is it the sea you hear in me? It's dissatisfactions. That's what's making you mad? This water that doesn't quit flowing, that I'm not scared of. I'm not scared of the earth, even though you're scared of it. And then the tree says, love is a shadow. How you lie and cry after it. Listen, these are its hoofs. It's gone off like a horse. So it seems that the tree really has a positive feeling because it knows the earth and it knows the sea, and it doesn't have any connection to love, where the person who's listening to the poem would have that connection. The person listening to the poem lies and cries after love, but the tree isn't connected like that. It's not tied to trying to get somebody to love it or get somebody to validate it. So really, the tree has a positive point of view, and the tone is one of superiority. It's as though the tree is better than the human because the tree knows the earth and knows the sea and knows those, all the death and all the craziness that the human beings are scared of. The earth or the tree is in touch with all of that and has no fear of it. And the tree also has no desire to go after any particular object because it needs that object to say, I love you, I validate you. So the point of view is positive, and the tone is one of superiority. If we look here, we can see that the point of view changes. And the tree feels differently in some ways. The tree says, how your bad dreams possess and endow me. So now the tree is saying that it can be possessed, like haunting, like a ghost, can possess somebody else's body. The dreams of human beings can possess the tree. And it says, I'm inhabited by a cry. Nightly it flaps out, looking with its hooks for something to love. So these human desires to love and to be loved and to have someone to hang on to, some sense of identity, all of those desires, kind of inhabit and possess the tree. I'm terrified by this dark thing that sleeps in me, this possession. All day I feel its soft, feathery turnings, its malignity. Clouds pass and dissipate. Are those the faces of love, those pale irretrievables? Is it for such I agitate my heart? I'm incapable of more knowledge. What is this? This face so murderous in its strangle of branches, its snaky, acidy hisses. It petrifies the will. These are the isolate, slow faults that kill, that kill, that kill. So here the tree says over and over, it becomes inhabited by these dreams and possessed by these dreams of humanity, almost to the point where it says that almost like you can see sometimes if you look at a tree, you'll see a face inside the tree as though the tree is trying to become human. It says, what is this face so murderous in its strangle of branches? Like it's as though the tree's been possessed by these human desires for love to the point where the tree's almost becoming human. But again, the tree takes this position of this is a poison, this human desire. This is what petrifies and what kills. So here the point of view is really different. The tree doesn't really have so much of a sense of, it's not a positive point of view as much as it becomes a negative, because the tree is being possessed by these human desires to love. And, it's no longer a tone of superiority, but in some sense, the tone is just, it's kind of ominous and it's kind of haunting and scary. The tree becomes vulnerable to human desire. We see in the beginning, the point of view was positive and the tone was kind of one of superiority. The tree was sort of superior to humans and their desire to love. But in the end, the tree becomes vulnerable to those human desires to love to the point that it becomes possessed and inhabited. And the kind of danger, the kind of conflict, the tree could potentially fall prey to the human desires of attachment and love, change the tone in the end. So in the end, the point of view is definitely negative, and the tone becomes one of a threat, kind of an ominous, kind of scary possibility that the tree's superiority might be compromised by the human desire to love. So your assignment now is just going to be to take a look specifically at chapter 6 from I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, and then you're going to answer an RL 8.6 short answer response in relationship to chapter 6.